You're there. You're there. So I thought maybe we just should record all of our conversations since they're usually very interesting. And then the ones we like, we can just, put up as a podcast. Because the trouble is we have a great conversation. I said, man, that would have been great if we had recorded that.
That's
So,
actually a pretty good idea.
yeah, so we'll see how it goes,
I
see
like
how,
it.
see how the quality holds up.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, but we'll see. So anyhow, so I'm sitting out here in the backyard again. It's cloudy today. It looks like it's going to rain. I don't know if it is or not. But
We always tried to figure out a music to put on our podcast. I don't think you could get anything any prettier than those birds. That's the prettiest song, I think.
yeah, well, if they happen to be around, they'll chirp. There's actually quite a few of them that I can see. And yeah, it depends on the time of day. Nobody has any bird feeders. That would be a good idea. But
Oh yeah.
anyhow, no, yeah, birds are. Yeah, I have always loved chopping birds, chirping birds. um, anyhow, back to the. Um, I think I think when we do the podcast that we should start everyone off by like the inside joke is today we're going to talk about sex and war. That's the inside joke. And then we'll explain it to them that really is a broad stroke for good feelings and bad feelings. Sex is good feeling.
Exactly.
Okay, now that we've talked about sex and war, we're now moving on to the next subject. So that's all you get,
On to
folks.
I love it. That's the intro to everything. That's life. That's all of life. It's like
Yeah.
good or bad, up or down, how negative, positive,
Yep. It
and the
is.
plethora in between.
It is. And so if the quality of this one's good, we decide to release it as a podcast. It will be titled "Sex and War." That's all it'll say, just "Sex and War." It won't even have a description. So they'll have to listen to.
Frederick, we probably should have named our podcast that. We'd get a lot of listeners, I'm sure.
Well, we can still name it that. You how about you doing? Seriously, why not?
I like it.
How about yeah, because really it is a metaphor, or now I guess a metaphor for good and bad, up and down, right and wrong.
Yeah, like the ultimate feel good. Just your
Yeah,
whole body just feels fabulous. Or the war. Your whole life is just in chaos.
right. So
Um,
yeah, so I think so. Why don't you take that graphic that you did, the one where you said light and shadow,
yeah.
and leave the bottom there about exploring the geography of the heart. That stuff, leave that there. But
I think that's got an impact. I think that would be impactful. I really do.
I do too. So in that
You
same
said let's what would draw the people in to
right.
want to hear? We've got to give them what they want. Well, that's what people want. That's just we're curious. We're
Oh
really
yeah,
curious people. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, curiosity has killed the cat. That's what my mother used to say that to me all the time. Curious, because I was very curious. I'm still curious. I'm very curious, and
and you're still here.
I'm
Yay.
still here being curious. Yes, and so and we will not talk about age in this show. This is not allowed. No age is allowed to be
No.
revealed. But anyhow, I as a kid I was very curious. Of course, my curiosity would sometimes get me in trouble, and that my mother would say, "Well, curiosity killed a cat," and I would always say to her, in the smart ass that I was, and satisfaction brought it back. And,
Oh my God. You little. Oh my
yeah.
God. I
Oh
bet
yeah.
you were
I was a
something
devil.
else.
I was a little devil. I really was.
Ooh wee.
So anyhow, in terms of the graphic, yeah. So use the original graphic that you had, the red one, and use the same kind of lettering and put "sex and war" instead of light and shadow, because it's the same. If you think about it, it's the same as we talked about. Sex and war is a metaphor for up and down, right and wrong, good and bad,
Yeah.
light and dark. So yeah, do that, and then I'll set that up, and then we'll probably throw this out as a podcast and see what people say. And by the way, if you're over anybody when you're listening to our podcast, folks, what you're really doing is just you're listening in on a very personal conversation between and my friend Rhonda. So
Yeah.
you don't get to do that very often in your life, where not only do you get to listen in, but you have our permission to listen in. And if you have a comment to make or a question, there's a button there you can push and leave a message. And maybe in the future, we will give you a number you can call and ask us questions directly, but probably not. I don't know.
We'll say you can, but we're not going to let you.
We don't know.
No.
Because what these conversations are, they're just fun conversations, entertaining conversations, sometimes insightful, but always inspiring and uplifting. So that's enough of talking to our audience directly. So now back to you and I.
Yes.
So I do have to ask you a question. Where were your last two field trips? You had a field trip, I think we talked Wednesday, right? And then you had a field trip
Yes.
Thursday and
Yep.
Friday. So where'd
The
you go Thursday and where'd you go Friday?
uh, Thursday was the aquarium in Tyler, Texas.
Okay, so that was,
And
so I talked to you
mhm,
Thursday then? Is that the one I guess so. No, no.
Wednesday, we've gone
Oh, they
to
went to
the
the
zoo
zoo. Zoo, right? Okay.
and the
Eh,
aquarium, and then we had field day,
okay.
which we took the kids to the stadium, and they did all kind of competitions, running and jumping, and had little races and stuff like that. And it's all right now. We're doing end of the year, just little trips,
Okay.
Um, they're trying to fill up the time with something to do with these kids till we can get them gone on May the 24th.
Is that the
So
last day of
yeah,
school? Okay. Okay.
we
Good.
have eight more, I think eight more school days. Uh, so
Okay, and then
yeah,
that's done. That's done. That's good. So, um, so how's your daughter? I mean, we're not going to name names, but I just we can talk about in generalities. I mean, I think part of overhearing conversations, people like to hear us talk about our families,
yeah.
because everybody has some kind of family, or uh, and most of us have dysfunctional families. Well, we all have this dysfunctional families to some degree,
Yes.
and everywhere in between. And it goes back to the metaphor of there's the yin and the yang, and then there's all the
Hmm.
stuff in between. And the challenge in life is moving through the stuff in between without letting it drain you of energy or
Yes,
make your life miserable. So,
I think that's what I have. I think I've learned to be pretty successful at listening without any expectations or any input of how to quote fix, just really just listening. And part of listening is also listening to what's not said as well as what is said. And so the other thing, because I truly believe that we all have our answers inside of us, that if a person is allowed to talk things out long enough and they feel like they've got somebody that really loves them and is rooting for them and just patient with them, you can pretty much find your answers. They will start tumbling out, they'll start coming out. And you ask about my daughter. um from what our conversations, mine and her conversations, she's a very idealistic person that has very idealistic ways of looking at life. And it's a hard it's a hard crash when things don't happen idealistically and
exactly.
faced with reality and other people's agendas. And my job as her mom is to just remind her, look, this is not your entire life. This is just a small part of it. You have another whole wide, beautiful life out there outside of this job.
Mm-hmm.
And so, once again, like I have a million times, you gather yourself back up, you gather your thoughts back up, you get refocused, and you honor yourself, and then you just let other people live and you let it roll off.
Yeah, let them be the way they are. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. It's like, I mean, I can identify with your daughter being an idealist because I still am, but I'm more for myself an idealist as opposed to what I expect from the world. I actually expect nothing from the world or other people, and if I get something, it's great. Like and I always like surprises, so I guess I'm more. I really like to go with the flow because I get the nicest things that happen. I had somebody contacted me about a week ago. Wanted to know if I did coaching, which I do, and I'm not quite sure how she heard about me or found me, but anyhow, she was quite clear what her issue was. She had a mental loop. In other words, there was from her point of view, there was this negative thought pattern repeating itself over and over again, and she didn't know how to get beyond it.
Mm.
Uh, and what she called it was grieving, but that was the mental loop. And and so anyhow, when we had the conversation, it was a very energetic conversation, because when I work with people, when I coach people, I do not get deep into the past. That has little relevance to what's going on now. What's
Mm-hmm.
going on now is the issue, and that's what you want to solve. So what I told her is that when you're stuck in a negative thought pattern, that usually means you're not allowing something. In other words, you're resisting something, because if you were not resisting something, you would not be stuck in the loop. So once you discover what you're not allowing, then you break the loop.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, it was really great, and satisfaction for me is being able to share insights with people that allow them to reclaim the power that they have unwittingly given to people down through the years. And so I was able to do that with this lady, and the way I work with coaching is I do one set. There's no long term commitment. I do one session at a time. A session is 1 hour, costs $99.50. And at the end of the session, if they want to do a second session, fine. If not, that's fine too. Because I'm one of these people is I like to get things resolved, and I can resolve things for myself and others very quickly. It's like I'm not going to drag it out for weeks, months, and years. So, if you want to change your life, we'll do it in one session. And if you think you want a second session, that's great, or a third, that's fine. Or if you just enjoy hearing my voice and want to pay to hear my voice, that's fine too. uh,
That's for another show, Frederick. Okay, listening
yeah.
to someone's voice. That's another program.
What's another program? Because I got myself lost in the conversation.
No, you know,
Actually what it is in this personal conversation, I put in a shameless plug for my coaching. Which, by the way, folks, if you need a coach, just leave me a message and we'll talk about it. Okay, go ahead.
I would be disappointed if you
So,
didn't do that. No,
what
you know
what's
what?
what?
I can. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited right now. I can see how we are a great team, and I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why. You are a bottom line person. You and very succinct and very. Uh, you just cut straight through the chase, and you're able to come to this beautiful conclusion quickly. And you offer this big huge chunk of wisdom, and it's like, do you want this, or do does this work for you? And I can see that my personality looks at things, not looks at things, but I approach things a little bit differently. And the reason why is because that's your personality. You are a cut to the chase, bottom line person, and which is very dynamic. I have employed tons of different ways that have brought me to the same conclusion, I would say. But it was just how I had to deal with my personality. And we're going to find people that are going to want just cut to the chase. And we're going to find people that they need a little bit of guidance. Let's try this technique. Let's try this technique. And the thing I've learned, Frederick, which is I'm very excited about it, there is no right way to do something. There's no when I found out the law of attraction, I thought, oh no, this is it. This is what I've been looking for my whole life. This is it. This is the answer to everything. And I went on that premise for several years, and something was missing. And so I just kind of laid it aside for a while, and I looked at some other things. And if you want, I'll tell eventually what these other things were. But the point is, every time I learned a different modality or a different uh, method or different philosophy, it did answer something within. But I've learned to realize there is no one thing that is like this hallelujah song from with the angels and the trumpets going. We're not going to have that moment of I finally found the one thing that I can you know build my entire. It does not exist, but you can tailor make your life for yourself. and use all different kinds of building blocks. And so that was my insight for for us. So
Well, that's true. I mean, well, it's been said different ways, but there's so many paths to the top of the mountain,
yeah.
and they're different for each of us. And part of the thing about life is that we don't come with an instruction manual. So life is a do-it-yourself job. We we have to figure it out one step at a time, and that starts with us deciding what's important to us. And if feeling good is important to us, then we will walk down that path and find those tools, find those building blocks, so we can feel good as often as we want and as deeply as we want. Uh, and some people, they act. There's actually people that like the power struggle and like to argue and like to fight because that's their path. It's not my path, so I don't have those people in my life.
Okay, right. No, I've been down that path and I got off of it as quickly as possible. Yeah, you're right though. That resonates with them where they're at the moment, and that's with everybody. You know, you resonate with me. Your heart, your spirit, your insights, your wisdom. It's like when we talk and when I read your writings, it's just like it's like a friend has just walked through the door and you're like greeting one another. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. And that's the feeling I feel. And so of course I want to keep replicating that feeling. So when I read books, I've picked up books that other people have suggested. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited about this. And I'll get into it and it's like, oh no, I can't. No, this is not doing it for me. But to that other person, it meant something in them. It resonated with something in them. And that's our job. Our job for ourselves is to find what resonates and follow that. And then don't just keep doing something because your mom or dad or pastor or whatever friend, president has suggested that you do it. You've got to be true to yourself. And you've got to find a way to to go down your path in the most truthful and authentic way possible. That is our really our number one job is to be authentic to ourselves.
I agree. Living, well, I say this often. If you're living your truth, if you're living your truth, you will feel lighter and brighter. And if you're not living your truth, you'll feel heavy, darker, somber, and depressed. That's how you know the difference between what your truth is and what it isn't. At least from my point of view. Um, and everything. I guess that's the thing that everybody has to remember when a person is speaking to you, they're always speaking to you from their point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So don't take it personal if they don't agree with your point of view.
This is true. And if we put too much, and I used to do that. I used to put a, excuse me just a second.
Mm-hmm.
I used to put a lot of stock in what other people said because I didn't trust myself. I wasn't, I exercised that intuition for myself. And so I was swayed by what other people said. And you do that for a couple of million times and you finally you're like, okay, wait, this is not working. I've got to find something that I can feel good about, that I can hold on to, that's going to keep me uh, in a good place. I used to be a very black and white thinker. And I did that because that was the way I was raised. That was my upbringing. Was I was in a society of people that was very good or bad, or black or white, or good or evil, and everything was very. They judged everything very harsh, and something in me, I don't know what it was. I that never felt good to me. It never those absolutes like it never felt like a place. And consequently, as I grew up, I was labeled a rebel. I was labeled rebellious and a renegade, and I better get my thinking straight, and I better get in the Word of God and follow these guidelines, and you'll straighten up. And I tried. Oh my God, I tried so hard to be like everybody else around me and to think like them, and to like, okay, I'm gonna pray really hard, and eventually I'm gonna feel. I even asked this one little lady. Was I was like in my 30s, and I think she was like, oh, probably a good 30, 40 years older than me. And I said, Sister Denton, I said, do you think I could ever be like you someday? And in all sincerity, she told me, she said, sweetie, if you just keep trying and memorizing the word of God, and if you keep, being sweet, yes, you can. And I tried and I wasn't. I failed miserably.
Well, interesting. Interesting that you say that because you failed miserably by someone's standards. But the fact is, you're a very sweet person.
Oh, well, thank you.
No, you are. Like I don't know how you are when you listen to people. I listen to people on two levels simultaneously. One is their words. I listen and I comprehend and I understand. If I don't, I'll ask questions. But even more important to me is not so much what they're saying. It's what energy are they broadcasting to me? What am I feeling? And so when you're talking, sometimes I will close my eyes over on this side just to really allow the energy in and experience the energy coming in from you to me and what that feels like and what that feels like. You know, I guess the word that I would use to describe the energy coming in from you, it's like walking into a beautiful multicolored flower garden, a huge one, a big one, and
Mm.
everywhere you turn are these bright, beautiful, colorful flowers, and you can't help but feel good because of all those flowers around you. And that's the kind of energy that you broadcast. You broadcast an energy that's sweet, that's kind, that's patient, that's understanding,
Oh my,
uh, that's safe. It's all those things, and from a man's standpoint, that is as sexy as a woman can ever get when she broadcasts that kind of energy. That's true sensuality. True.
oh my gosh. I love that visual. And you did a good job in painting it. That was good. Um yeah.
Well, actually, I funny. I was painting. I actually not so long ago we went up to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and there's I think I can't remember the name, but there's this big, huge 200-acre garden of flowers, and
Oh
we
my.
took a tour through it, and it's so. As I was describing it, I was recalling that memory and seeing those in my because that's exactly the feeling I had when I was seeing all these flowers up in the garden in Hot Springs, uh, was the same kind of energy that I get when you talk to me. It's just this relaxing, calming, loving, caring, kind, nurturing. It's because see, I've always found nature, the purity of nature, to be very sensual. It's just
Mhm.
it's very intimate, and it's and it's like I'm one of these crazy people that when I'm out in the woods, I hug trees, you know, and,
Oh, well, no, that's not crazy. That's wise.
yeah, I love hugging trees, and they hug me back. Uh, and one time, one of them even smacked me because a branch fell off the tree and hit me in the back.
Oh my
Uh, didn't hurt me, but it did kind of stun me. It's like, what the hell
god.
did I do wrong? It's like I'm looking at the tree, like, what did I do to you?
So close.
So
Back.
close. Uh, but anyhow, yeah. So
Well, I
um,
well, that's
go ahead. Go ahead.
person. When I talk with you, it's what I need. It, you're the energy that I get from you is this warm and caring and deeply. I felt deeply seen. I've never seen you, but I feel deeply seen and heard and recognized and enjoyed. And you've got this voice that when you talk, you literally wrap your arms around people. You hug them to you. Your voice is very appealing and you're very approachable. And that's what I need. And so uh, that's we make people feel, I guess, the way they need to feel. That's
Well, we feel good about ourselves, so if you feel good about yourself, you can't help but make other people feel good. And if you feel
it.
bad about yourself, other people are going to feel bad. And you and I both come from the place that we like feeling good, and we'll do whatever we have to do to nurture, expand, and broaden that good feeling. And we're so committed to feeling good that we won't allow people feeling bad to stay in our space feeling bad for very long. They'll either leave or they'll start feeling good. It's just that simple, you know. So
I'll give a person an ultimatum. Okay, I'm gonna try to stick with you for a little bit, but if you don't turn the corner pretty quickly on those negatives, I'm out of here.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'll find a way to excuse myself or it's not inauthentic. It's just my technique of trying to. I have a filter. I have a filter. I filter things through, and I want to feel good. So I know what I want to feel, and I know how I get to that point. So yeah, I will hang in there with people. They need to talk to. But going back to this other thing about you and I love to feel good. That is like a very high priority in both of our lives. And there was a reason why, because there was a time when in our upbringings, in our lives, that you and I did not feel good about ourselves, about others, about life, about the future. We know what that feels like. We know what those disheartening, soul crushing feelings feel like. And we don't ever, ever plan to ever feel that again. And so that's why we so guard our hearts and we guard our thoughts because we feeling good feels so good.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And there, what people don't understand, there's no top to how good you can feel, and there's no bottom to how bad you can feel.
Ooh, that's wow.
And the problem with the no bottom to how bad you can feel, it gets so painful that you just want to get away from it. And that's the reason why people get suicidal feelings. And see, society judges suicide, having suicidal feelings is something really bad. I don't. It's just saying. It's just saying I want to get. I'm somehow I got into this mental loop and I'm creating pain for myself and I want to get rid of it. So
Yes.
when people tell me they're feeling suicidal, they're telling me they want to get away from the pain. They're not telling me they want to kill themselves. No, uh, very few people actually really want to do that. You know what they want to do is get rid of the pain.
That pain.
Yeah, and so that's really I always say. And I support people. However, it's like if you want to feel bad, I'll support you in feeling bad. I can only tell you that if you're feeling bad, the end result of feeling bad is you're going to end up feeling worse, and then you're going to end up feeling worse about feeling worse, and it doesn't end. By the same token, you can feel good, and you can feel better, and you can feel better than good, and good and better, and it just goes as high as until people think you're walking on air, and actually sometimes I do. But
And you know what, Frederick? That's as deep as it goes. I I know that wise people seem just almost out of my league, or the gurus or the all these people that are highly thought of. It's their wisdom and the peace that they've attained almost seem like out of my league. But actually, what it is they've just found a way to feel good. That is as deep as it gets. I'm
hmm
sorry.
Yep, that is. It's as deep
It
as it gets.
is.
That's the only difference between you and these gurus that seem to be better than us. That they just feel better than us. They're more at peace with being here than we are.
Yes.
So if you look at any guru, the reason why you're attracted to that guru is because on some level, in some way, he's more at peace than you. And these gurus, for lack of a better word, have different skills and abilities, but mainly they have over time they have learned to become one and in alignment with the universe, and when you're in alignment with the universe, then anything is possible,
What more alignment with the universe? What is any more wonderful than that? I can't imagine. I don't want to imagine. Well, that's just it. In alignment, that's why people want more money or more fame or more cars or more houses or whatever. They're looking for a feeling. And what I'd like to propose and what I've heard other people say, if that's what you're wanting, then just start feeling the feeling. You don't have to have the stuff in order to feel the feeling. You think that you've got, well, once I win the lottery, then I'm going to really feel like I've accomplished something. Well, start feeling like you've accomplished something. Go for the feeling first and let the how figure its way out.
well, see, that's the con job of life that we get programmed into, the believing that you have to have something to feel good, and that starts at a very young age, and so in terms of the programming, and so I look at people like the Kardashians, and I've at least recently I've read some stories. I mean, these people might have a lot of material possessions and a lot of fame, but they are suffering a lot. Especially Kim. I've read a story, with a breakup with uh, what's his name? I don't know,
Mhm.
what, I don't know what his name is, but whatever.
Kanye,
Kanye.
come on now.
If he listens to this, he'll probably be upset. I don't even know what the hell his name is, but no, but you read these stories that emotionally they're suffering a lot, and you can't find peace in material stuff. You just can't find it. Now, if you have peace, it will add to you. It will add, like if you're happy, and then things will make you happier. But they can't make you happy. You have to foundationally, you have to be the happy one. Because actually, if you're not the happy one, you can have all kinds of great stuff around you, and it doesn't do anything for you. So,
Oh no.
it's an inside job for sure.
The,
So,
on her Instagram, I think, and I want to preface everything that we're saying. We may not need to, but I want to.
okay.
There is no judgment. We are not speaking in
Oh
any
no,
form
no, no.
of
There's
judgment
plenty of
whatsoever.
no. There's plenty
We
of
are
no. There's plenty of judgment.
no, there's not. We are
No, there. No,
observing.
no, there's judgment. No, we're judging. But let me explain. Because I think this is important. See, people make themselves wrong. We all have a judgment mechanism. It just goes. We can't stop that. I mean, we judge because we're brought in the world of good and bad, right and wrong. War and sex, and so that's how the mind operates. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to believe in our judgments. That doesn't mean
Oh,
we
right, true.
have to act on them. It doesn't mean that we have to even judge ourselves for judging. It's just like, yeah, I judge and I just let it go. It's like, that's an ugly tree gone. That's a beautiful tree gone. I want sex with that woman gone. I want sex with that, whatever it is, it's just gone. It's just
You've just found a way to control all of your judgments. That's what you've done.
yeah, I just let them go because you have them. I mean, they run in the background of our mind, but I know what you mean when you're saying we're talking about these people. We're not judging them. We're just kind of observing their life because they are public figures and they broadcast it out there for us to see. And
And
we
she's
read these.
target. She's very much in the public eye, and on
Yeah.
her Instagram I think she has 3 million followers now. 3 million.
Oh, she may
three
have more
million.
than that for all I know, but a lot of people.
Oh, probably.
But yeah, I think her life is enormously stressful. That's my opinion. I don't
Yes,
live it, so I don't know. But I think it's enormously
I think
stressful.
it is. Can you imagine
And
the upkeep that you have to do to be in the public eye, and you are so aware that everything you do, every breath you take, every time you blink your eyes, there's a picture of it, and you are being scrutinized. Now, granted, yes, she did put herself in that situation, but Frederick, how many times have you or I thought we wanted something, a certain something, and oh, we just, I can't live until I've got that, and we get it, and then you're like, oh my God, I can't live till I get rid of this.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, yeah, the thing about people in the public, it's kind of like um, Elvis. Elvis, of course, was very big in my life at one point, and what happens with people like Elvis and the Kardashians and other celebrities, because there's so many celebrities that have accidentally overdosed. Heath Ledger, for an example.
Oh, I know.
Uh, and part of it is that they start doing what they love. It's exciting in the beginning, but all of a sudden they're trapped in the very thing that they created and they don't know how to get out of it. It's like I still subscribe to the theory that Elvis faked his death and he went on to live a great life privately somewhere. I
Oh, I
think that
hope so.
I, I think
That.
I mean that's been going. I mean, there's no proof that that's true, but there's no proof that it's not true. We don't know for sure. At least I don't know for sure. But the point is that when you get into that, it's like how do you get out of that? It's kind of like people get into a bad marriage and they don't know how to get out of it because their identity is too wrapped up in it.
Right.
So Elvis's identity was too wrapped up in being a famous singer, and I think the Kardashians' identity is too wrapped up in being the famous Kardashians. So how do you get away? Because I heard, what did I read about Kim? It was just like when Kanye, whatever his name is, left. She was so insecure because she used to ask him all the time what she should wear and how she should dress, and once she left, she became very insecure about how to dress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I the thing I'm not, like I say, I'm not a big fan of that kind of reality TV, but the thing I do like, especially lately, about the Kardashians is they're being very honest about what they're going through. They're more revealing their struggles rather than just the glamorous side.
Up front, then, and it's not everything's not so airbrushed. You know, their life is not airbrushed, and
Exactly,
they're
exactly.
they are being a little bit more authentic, which actually makes them a little bit more relatable.
Well, not
And
only does it make it more relatable, it gives a lot of other people permission, the people who
oh
follow them, to be more authentic
yes,
and to be more real. And I think that's important. So I think from that standpoint, they're making a great contribution to society, especially in recent years, because of they've been so open about their own personal struggles and what they face. I think that it helps a lot of people,
I'm
and in the so, but in the beginning, I was not real hep about it because, well, in the beginning, it was all glamour, and it was there
very
was there was no real reality to it. It was a manufactured reality, which based on what I know about Hollywood and that whole thing, it was constructed by the people who were actually producing the Kardashian program, to some degree. But anyhow,
well. I had a little bit of a love hate relationship with Hollywood anyway. I'm thinking this is an industry that is complete fantasy. Everything about Hollywood is movies aren't real. I mean, it's not like they've got a product, a new kind of shoe or a box or a car. This is a fantasy. The entire industry is nothing but made up stories. But yet it's become so important in our lives and so um, such a part of, oh, did you see that movie? Or, what about their performance? And I'm like, that is all just, that's not real. None of that is real. Uh,
hey, I hate to interrupt you because my mind just went somewhere.
Please.
Um, Well, partly because we're having this very personal conversation and we're recording it at the same time, and now we're going to throw up it as a podcast. I thought, and we've been discussing what we're changing, we're going to call it. And we said "Sex and War." How about if we title this episode "Sex, War, and the Kardashians"?
Absolutely.
but the graphic that we talked about will be what it is. Anyhow, we've actually been doing this part of it for 37 minutes, so I think this should be, as our first and our newest podcast. This should be long enough for our listeners to
Oh,
see
I
if
think
they like that.
this is a great
And yeah,
topic.
I
Very,
think we
very
would be. There,
titillating.
there's some little glitches. I can hear it in the thing where it breaks up a little bit, but not enough, I think, to kill the mood. So I think we should be okay.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this conversation up with you now, and then I will process this podcast that we recorded, and then I'll send it to you to listen to, and then you can start judging yourself like you did before, and then I'll have to tell you to stop doing that. So to be clear, people, for people who are listening, we did a short, I guess a short practice podcast just to see how the transmission was. And I love Rhonda's voice, but then when Rhonda listened to her voice, she really hated it. So I had to remind her that she needs she
It
needs to
might be
listen to her.
best if you don't send me the clip. It may be better that I don't listen to
Well,
it.
I think this thing about listening to our own voice, it's true for everyone. When I and this has been years ago, when I first heard my voice played back on a tape recorder, I was so upset that I wanted to take a knife and cut out my vocal cords. That's how terrible I thought my voice was. And but then the more you listen to it, the more you get used to it, and then all of a sudden it doesn't sound so bad. And then after a while, it sounds good. And then if you get good feedback, and like I've had, people have told me for years, you sound like a radio announcer. You should be on radio.
Hmm.
Uh, and at some point, I finally believed them. It's like, wow, I do have a good voice. But that's the same for all of us. And so for me, for you, I want you to know that while I have had many friends and many co-hosts, and I've always looked for somebody that was compatible to me voice wise and energy wise, and you're the first person I ever came across like it's a perfect match. It's like the perfect blend of male and female energy. That's the only way I can put it. So
So happy, and I feel so honored, and I'm so excited for what we've got going in the future because it's just I the energy that we feel for one another and have with one another is it's just it's magical, and I love it, and I don't want it to stop, and I'm glad that other people get to share in it. So this is a good place to wrap this up.
It is, and hopefully somebody will leave a comment or leave a message and let us know if you like it or if you don't like it. If you like it, we'll love you. If you don't like it, we'll hate you. So, if you want to
Or,
be loved by us, like
or
our podcast. If you want to be hated by us, hate our podcast. We take things very personal here. On that note, I'm getting off the line. Rhonda, I'll talk to you later.
later. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.